Let's get more on the news that the Department of Transport has announced the winners of more than £6 billion worth of contracts to build the first phase of HS2 between London and Birmingham. UK companies Carillion, Costain and Balfour Beatty are among the firms which will build tunnels, bridges and embankments on the first stretch of the new high-speed rail line between London and Birmingham. A decision on the final routes for the Manchester and Leeds branches is expected later. Well, let's go live to our central London studio to talk to Mark Littlewood, Director General at the right-leaning think tank, the Institute for Economic Affairs. Thank you for joining us. Well, it's British companies. Is that a good thing?
Well, I suppose that is a good thing, but this is a wrong-headed project all in all. I mean, this is a matter of really extreme financial folly for the government. We think that the project will cost upwards of £80 billion to complete, possibly as much as £100 billion. You can assume with all these big government projects that they overrun. It won't come fully on stream until 2033, and even then it depends whether you are willing to trust the government's projections of when it will actually be fully operational, probably later, by which time it is unlikely, I think, to be a piece of cutting-edge technology. It's likely to be something of an anachronism. So at a time when the government is still running a budget deficit of tens of billions of pounds, I think this is money very, very badly spent.
What about the argument that investing in infrastructure is it's obviously a long-term project, but that in the long term it's good for the country, and in the short term it will be supporting 16,000 jobs in Britain?
Well, there's no doubt investing in infrastructure is a good idea. It's the question of which infrastructure. The Department for Transport have on their books at the moment a whole range of projects that even on their own estimates would be much better for the economy, that would actually get you a much better rate of return over a shorter period of time than this colossal rail project. Listen, obviously...
Sorry, I mean, so specifically then, what would you think would be a sort of better use of the money than this?
Lots of much smaller enterprises. They're not as grand, they don't grab the headlines, they don't leave a legacy for the politicians who design them, but there are all sorts of small, typically road projects, that would be much, much more valuable for the economy than a colossal multi-billion pound new train line, which won't be fully operational for 15 years. So infrastructure is a useful thing, but my test would be, is the private sector willing to invest in it? The private sector is very keen to invest in airport expansion, doesn't seem to have much appetite for investing in HS2, but if you are going to spend public money, spend it on the projects that have the best rate of return, and those tend to be lots of small fiddly projects rather than one colossal grand one.
In the end though, I mean, can you put a price on the long-term impact of cutting journey times very significantly in some cases between different cities? I mean, when the biggest margin I think is with Leeds, where it's going, the journey time to London would go from 130 minutes to 80. For people who do need to make that journey, that makes a big difference.
It does make a big difference, and of course being able to get from A to B faster than we can at the moment is a benefit, but you have to try and put a price on those journey times because there is a price associated with the project. I mean, actually saving journey times from, say, London to Birmingham, which will be the first saving we will make, and I think that's only a 12-minute saving, yes, that has some value, but I don't think it has tens of billions of pounds worth of value. And of course, when you're looking at journey times, particularly by rail, it's worth building in that increasingly now people can work on a train almost as efficiently as they can work in an office. You see people with their laptops out and reading papers and taking notes. So we shouldn't actually consider that a slightly shorter journey time automatically means that we should throw tens of billions of pounds worth of public money at the project. They're a factor, but they need to be properly costed. And my fear is at the moment they're seen as a dead weight loss, whereas actually I sometimes find it easier to work on a train than I find it to work in my own office. So those benefits need to be calculated, calibrated, but not assumed to justify any amount of money that the government wishes to spend.
Mark Littlewood, thank you very much.
Thank you.